Hello everyone, this is ACHAIAKAI bringing you game number 2 in the finals between ZpuX and the Little One. And the Little One is playing as random. Last game he got Terran. This game he is playing as the red Protoss, it looks like, in the bottom middle. And this map, of course, is Lost Temple, the famous 2v2 map, which is actually used for a lot of 1v1s as well. ZpuX, the new Zerg player who I've not heard a whole lot about, but is apparently very good, taking game 1 down against the Little One with some drop play using the Overlord transportation ability, which, as I mentioned, I have not seen a whole lot of in StarCraft 2 yet, just because Nidus Worms are the choice of transport. I've seen most players, as far as Zerg goes, use those Nidus Worms because you can pop a Nidus Worm up anywhere on the map that you have vision for only 100 minerals and 100 gas, and you can basically stream as many units through there as you want to. You don't have to rely on the transport capacity of the Overlord. So I just was actually a little bit surprised to see that, but of course it was very effective. He used a pretty good unit mix. He had a great mix of Zerglings, Roaches, Hydras, and Banelings in there as well. So a pretty diverse unit mix, and he did a great job microing those drops on the Little One's base and starting up his economy and working his way through his main base over those cliffs. But anyways, on this bigger map, these players of course will not be aware of where the starting position is for their enemy, because this is being a 4-player map. They will have to scout to find out where one another are, which means that we will not be seeing any early rush cheese strategies most likely. And it looks like the Little One actually going to try to wall off at his expansion out in front, which the choke is a little bit wider than at the ramp here. But if you can hold that choke early on and defend from the early Zerglings and everything, you can get an early expansion pretty safely here, which this was a very common strategy in StarCraft 1 on the maps that would allow for it with a choke outside of the natural expansion. So it looks like the Little One using a build that's a little bit reminiscent of the first StarCraft, and the spawning pool for ZpuX is just now going up, and it looks like there is a probe blocking the hatchery placement for the Zerg player. So if he tries to go for a hatch anytime soon, he is not going to be able to get it unless he gets this probe out of the way. And the Little One dancing it around a little bit, trying to keep an eye out if there is a probe coming, and actually a Roach Warren going down inside the Zerg base and a few Zerglings coming out. So those are going to be able to chase off this probe without any issues. And the Little One, of course, is going to be aware that there is not going to be a super early expansion going out. Although I don't think he got a look at the Zerg player's base. Yeah, so he did not see that Roach Warren went down. He got a quick look up there to see that's where the player was located, but he did not stick around to see if there was a spawning pool indeed up there or not. And it looks like a Forge coming out and one Zealot blocking the remaining space in that choke there, and he does have another Zealot coming out right now. So it looks like he is fast expanding. So again, very reminiscent of the StarCraft 1 builds that would allow you to take that early expansion by walling off your choke point at the expansion there. And it looks like ZpuX is putting down an expansion of his own in response, because of course he is aware now that this expansion is there with the Overlord overhead, and of course seeing that with this wall off he is not going to be able to get his Zerglings in there to do any early harassment on this expansion, at least not for a little while, unless he can get these Zealots out of place. And there is one Photon Cannon going down as well, so even if those Zealots get taken down, they will also have to try to get by the Photon Cannon. I imagine we will see more Photon Cannons going down as well. And it looks like the Little One sending out another probe to try to see what's going on. And I don't know, yeah, he is going to get a look at this expansion, so he will be aware that ZpuX has fast expanded. And of course the Roach Warren is finished now, and the first wave of Roach is just now starting to come out along with some Zerglings to support it. Taking a look at the income tab, ZpuX actually is really even with the Little One right now, so at this point neither expansion has kicked in, although probes starting to show up at this expansion already, so the Little One is going to start taking an economic advantage here while ZpuX is waiting for his hatchery to finish, which is actually just about done. And it looks like he's going to be sending out his Zerglings and Roaches, and actually right now he has his rally point set up right to the outside of the base for the Little One here right now. So he is going to be sending all of his units to this rally point right outside the Xel'Naga Watchtower to basically mass up, and it looks like he might try to put some early pressure on here, especially with these Roaches coming out. If we take a look at the production menu here, we can see that right now he is producing Roaches, although still primarily producing Zerglings at this point, which is a little bit surprising because Zerglings are not going to be able to break down this choke because the Zealot blocking and of course the cannon behind, unless he has has just so many Zerglings that he can just throw Zerglings at this until he can break down the buildings that are walling this area off. Although there are a lot of Zealots here, and with only a handful of Roaches, actually this may be enough Roaches in addition to those Zerglings to take this down. So it looks like ZpuX going to push in here, and the little one trying frantically to defend this. The Roach is not firing, only one of them firing, a couple of them firing now, but the Roaches have such a small range that they are not actually able to get a whole lot of shots in over that gap there. And another cannon going down, the little one frantically pulling his probes up here, trying to block this choke off with everything that is within him. And he's got a couple stalkers out here now as well, trying to defend. A couple of these Zerglings are going to get through that wall off, it looks like, and try to focus fire down this cannon, although another cannon coming in. So that cannon goes down as one comes in to replace it, and one Roach going down finally to the combined fire of the stalkers and cannons. And it looks like he is going to have to back out for a second, but no, coming back in, and another cannon going up. So this may be enough. I'm not sure. We're going to see here the stalkers constantly coming out, and more Zealots as well, trying to take down these last couple cannons. And it looks like the cannon on the right is going to go down, and the one on the left, very low on health, that one's going to go down as well. So it looks like the little one in a very bad spot once again early on, as Zerg units continue to stream down towards his base right now. And this very heavy stalker army against these these Zerglings are going to be very, very easy to take down for the Zerg player. And as the Zerg player continues to stream units in here, I don't know if there's really anything that he can do to hold this off, because at this point, looking at the income here, the red Protoss player has very, very little income coming in right now. Although it looks like he is actually going to hold off this attack for right now, although with the constant streaming in of units, I don't know how long he can keep this up before he runs into some serious problems, because of course he is very low on probes right now, and his income just now going up, although it looks like getting a force field down and managing to stop the flow of units into his base, at least for a few seconds. There are two Zerglings left inside his base, one of them going down to the Zealot and the other one getting carelessly not microed, and it is going to go down as well. So for the time being, the flood of units to the base of Little One has stopped, and it looks like more units trying to come in right now, although it's only Zerglings at this point, so there is not going to be any help from Roaches. So blocking off that little choke point is going to be quite easy without any ranged units to back those up. Although it looks like he is just going to go all out and try to take out this gateway, or this warp gate rather, since it is so low on health already. And he is able to snipe this, it looks like. Oh, barely. Yes, it is going to go down, although there is one cannon up and running, and it looks like he is going to put another gateway down immediately to replace it. So that gateway is going to complete the wall off. 150 minerals there essentially wasted for the Protoss player, since he did lose that gateway. And actually ZpuX coming down to see that that has been walled off once again, and there is now a cannon behind those buildings as well to defend against it. So it looks like the little one, for the time being, has stemmed the tide from the Zerg player for the time being. We will see what happens here in a little bit. At this point, the Zerg player ZpuX does have a pretty high economic advantage, as you can see, around 300 to 400 minerals more per minute than Little One right now. So if he can continue to macro up a decent army, although he's going to need to switch to probably some Mutas or Hydralisks as well, along with his Roaches, if he wants to break that entrance, or possibly go to Nidus Worm play, so that he can get those Nidus Worms up into the Protoss player's base, or even if he reverts to a drop strategy. But obviously this Zergling Roach combo at this point is not going to be enough because of this choke and how well it's defended with these ranged units now. And the Protoss player having a pretty good mix of Zealots, Sentries, and Stalkers at this point, going to be moving out on the map a little bit and try to put some pressure on the Zerg player possibly. And the Zerg player ZpuX actually has a few Overlords out floating around the map. And he may lose. He already lost one. It looks like the Protoss player not going to go for the one on the far side there, although it looks like the Zerg player is going to try to sneak some Zerglings around here and get him into the Little One's base. Although the Little One does have one Sentry and one Zealot, he manages to block off a couple of Zerglings from making it into his base, but a couple of them did make it in, and actually these Zerglings not going to even attack the Stalker and Sentry that were in there, so that was pretty much ineffective. And it looks like a lot of Spine Crawlers going down for the Zerg player at their base, although the Protoss player does have a decent sized army, as more of these Spine Crawlers are starting to finish up, and the Zerg player ZpuX forced to bring out all of his drones to fight along with these Roaches, and they are going to be able to hold off this attack here. It looks like a couple of Spine Crawlers left and 5 Roaches, it looks like, and the Protoss player trying to defend this pylon. So